works. Okay. How you doing? You are? I was looking for a Liberal, and look who walks in.
The Deputy from Miramichi-Bay du Vin.
Okay, listen, you're not a stupid man. I'm not. Whatever. Maybe you're smarter than me. Why, in question period, are we talking about EI?
EI?
Yeah.
Because this is a very important issue.
Isn't that a federal issue?
Absolutely it is.
So why should we waste our time to questioning the government? It's a provincial government, not a federal government.
Because the changes to EI affect the province greatly, and it goes to the credibility of our Premier. Our Premier had said many, many occasions in the past that these changes aren't going to affect New Brunswick, and he wasn't speaking out for all the people in New Brunswick. And it's not just, Charles, it's not just the people that are on EI, it's all the seasonal industries.
Yeah, but
because I have many of them in my riding, and I've talked to many of them, and not only all over the province, whether it be the fishing industry, the forestry industry, the peat moss industry, even tourism. So those effects are going to greatly affect our province.
There's no question about it.
Here's what gets me: we have a Premier who had commissioned a report, a study that he did. I can't remember the timeline, but maybe in June. And it outlined all of these situations, and it outlined how many tens of millions of dollars could potentially be lost in the New Brunswick economy, how many jobs could be lost in the... He didn't do anything with it. He held on to it for 6 months. All of a sudden, the federal member from, I think it was Moncton, Robert Gauguin, and had made comments to the press that there was changes coming. So the Premier runs into the legislature and tables the report, and he's confident that there's changes coming because he read the newspaper that Robert Gauguin said.
Yeah, but he wanted to make sure. I'm not defending the Premier. What I'm saying is he want to make sure of what's going on. Okay, is he a conservative? Yes, he is. Is Stephen Harper conservative? Yeah, no, he's a reformer. But anyway, what I'm saying is it's all right to be in the side of being good in good grace with the Prime Minister of Canada. But it's a federal issue. Isn't there other issues you guys could talk about beside EI?
There's all kinds of issues. But you have to be able to stand up for the people in your province. When people elected David Alward as Premier, they elected him to stand up and be a voice for them. And one of those things is to be a voice with the federal government.
Yeah.
Use Danny Williams as an example. He didn't take anything off of the federal government.
He was a hero.
And it even went to the point where he removed the Canadian flag from the front of the legislature. And you're right, he's a hero.
Yeah.
Because he did the honorable thing and he stood up for the people of his province.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
We've got a Premier here that hasn't done that. And now he comes out yesterday because he sees that this is still a huge issue in the province, and he says he's calling for a moratorium on any changes going forward. Well, the changes have already been done. I'm not sure where the Premier is or when he woke up, but the changes were done. They're already in effect.
You already hear somebody was denied a job. Somebody denied UIC. Was cut off UIC because they didn't take a job 40 miles, 50 miles away.
Pardon me, Charles?
Have you already heard of a case that somebody was cut off EI just because he or she didn't take a job 40 miles away?
I tell you what I've heard. I've heard all of the people that are out there on the streets talking about this issue, all the seasonal workers that have called my office. I've been to many of the rallies around the province. I've heard and I've seen that firsthand.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
I've had calls from...
Yes, we hear. Have you already heard of a case? I haven't. Have you heard of a case? Because I always said you don't, excuse my, it's a blog, I could talk like this, but you don't fuck around with those frogs from the North Shore. They're radical. That's like me, you know, I mean, we're radicals.
You're a radical?
Not radical, not as much as them. But I mean, what I'm saying is, no, they won't fool around. We see what happened with the school, try to close their school. We know what happened when they burned the fisheries and the boats. I mean, they will stand up for what they believe in. So, I haven't heard of a case that somebody was cut off.
Well, these changes just came in effect recently, Charles. So, I mean...
It's official. I thought it was official a few months ago.
That's right. That's recent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these things are going to happen over the course
of you guys going to keep on talking about EI?
I tell you what we're going to keep talking about, Charles. We're going to keep talking about what's important to the people of this province and what's important to our industries in New Brunswick. We're going to keep talking about that, yes, because it's extremely important. Our economy is important. Jobs is the #1 important issue here in this province. And you've got a premier in here who constantly belittles people, bullies people, and doesn't put out the facts. He comes in here trying to be a hero today, saying that he's calling for a moratorium after the fact. Okay? He's quoted as saying that he just found out there's no studies done. Yet he tabled a study that he did in the legislature 2 months ago that was blacked out.
How come when
and that was unilingual English. And when we asked for it to be translated, he said they apologized. They said, yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll get it back to you. Never ever seen it again.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Charles.